you're in Michigan somewhere, are you?
Yep, I'm up in northern Michigan, a little town called Lovell's. It's I don't know if you're familiar with Michigan, but it's kind of about an hour from Traverse City.
Right. See, I heard the name Traverse City, and I immediately thought of Warren Zevon, but I think he has Transverse City as like a name of his song or something. I got confused.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just me. But yeah, and I'm in Auckland. My name is Marty. I'm in New Zealand, where things are pretty mellow here, which they're not in Michigan. I mean, you guys, I don't know if you want to talk about politics or anything or what things are going on in there, but we're just curious as to what's happening in the States from here. And
Yeah.
I know your governor has taken a few hits, so to speak, and stuff is going on.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been really like it really doesn't seem like it's normal. I mean, it isn't normal. This is like this year has just been crazy all around. But yeah, Michigan, I think our governor's doing a great job, but there's a lot of people who I think have a problem with a woman in charge.
Man, they got to get over that quick. I have to tell you.
Exactly. And so it's yeah, it's just a mess, but I think that it's going to be all right. I think it's going to be okay. Just got to take some time and,
Yeah.
hopefully it all goes back to normal again one day.
Whatever that is. Actually,
Yeah, exactly.
it needs to go past being normal. It needs to be better than it was.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, so your album, The Loneliness in Me, came out October 23rd, I think.
That's right.
So it's just about a little less than a month away. How has that gone in this environment, putting out a record like that?
It's okay. I was a little nervous in the beginning because, I wouldn't be able to tour with it. Well, when I was about wrapped up with it, in the beginning of this year. So I was moving forward, planning on having it released in like August, September, and then touring in October. So when everything started to kind of shut down, I just decided, well, I could either wait or I could just continue releasing it and just see how it goes. And I chose to just see how it goes because, I feel like I just got to trust that everything kind of like, at least for my record, like was happening at just the right time. And I think it is, even though I can't get on the road and kind of promote it. It doesn't mean that I haven't have some, I guess, success with it, whatever you define as success, I guess is up to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's, I wish I could be on the road, but I think it's still doing what it's supposed to do right now. I think the record's doing what its job is. Yeah.
Because it must be especially important because it's like your first solo record in like 8 years. So
Yeah.
you probably have a little more riding on it than normally if you were just like cranking them out every couple of years, right?
Exactly. This was it was a big deal. Writing it, releasing it, it was a really big deal. But like I said, I just kind of trusted it that it was, I guess I wasn't going to let it stop me, I guess. I was just going to kind of keep moving forward. And then it's okay because, I had a lot of good sales for the record. And then I'm working on some new stuff now. So I'm using whatever I could gain from this moment into the next. So
Right. So I love the fact that you're making like a hard country album in the middle of Michigan. Because I mean, let's face it, most of us, especially rock and rollers, think of Michigan as like MC5 and Jack White and the White Stripes, or else Giant Fish, muskellunges and Northern Pike or whatever. And the country music just really doesn't enter into the mix very often. So
yeah, doesn't really, but I kind of grew up with it. To me, it was normal, and so I just kind of I guess keep it like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's true. No, a lot of people don't think of Michigan as being country. I mean, we're kind of up north, but you'd be surprised at how rural like some of these places in northern Michigan are. A lot of people love country music. They love it.
I'm sure they do.
So,
when you think about it, you go, well, it makes perfect sense. They're out in the sticks somewhere, and what are they going to listen to? Yeah, so, it's cool.
Yeah.
And so do you find you have to kind of justify, or not justify, but I don't know, explain to people that you're not Nashville based and you're still making, I mean, the sound is straight out of Nashville that you've got going down. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes people are kind of like surprised, I think, but I always have a hard time wrapping my head around that. I don't know why. It's like, I know people think Nashville country music, but you know, I don't always think like that. I think like, well, I'm just going to write what I want to write,
Right.
and then let it sound the way I feel. And so, yeah, a lot of people are like always kind of like, yo, like connect me with Nashville, but you never know. I mean, maybe I'll go down there one day.
Very good. I'm sure they'd love to hear you.
Yeah.
So speaking of songwriting, my understanding is that this is the first time you've kind of done a lot of co-writing with Brooks Robbins, who's your husband. So
That's right.
And with song titles, like The Loneliness in Me and what, The Ghost of You, what is it like writing with your partner like that?
Well, it's good because he really knows me very well.
Right.
And so he can kind of be like, he is, and throughout the writing of this record and the next one that we're working on, he's very good at like being very accurate with me, like about who I am, because we know like when you're yourself, you don't really think about, at least I don't think about who I am. I'm just me. You probably the same for everybody. You have these like things you do, you don't realize you do them. And he is like, he kind of shines that back on me, is like, this is who you are as a person. So let's try to capture that. And it works really well. He knows me better than I know me.
Right. Well, that's very possible, I'm sure.
Yes. So it's kind of cool. It's actually like, I think like the more I think about it, it's like the perfect scenario because he really does capture like a lot of me that I don't necessarily think about, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's cool. Yeah. It's real.
Right. So the process, does one write music and write words? Is it that cut and dried, or is it more collaborative than that?
Yeah, it's we both we both write the words. We kind of bounce it off of each other, and then we both write melodies. He's really good at melody, and then but it always usually kind of just starts with like one tiny idea. So like I'll either bring to the table like one idea, and then we both just kind of like attack it, and then kind of the same way. So we're both, I would say, pretty much straight up 50-50 on each thing, you know what I mean? Each aspect.
Right. Now the album opens with a song called "It Ain't Over Till You're Crying," which is a great title. It can only be a country song. And you got a guy playing pedal steel, Dave Feeney.
It ain't over till you're crying. You ain't the last boy in line. You get to pay for ancient history. That's what you get for loving me.
Tell me about him a little bit, because he sounds pretty good.
Yeah, he is good. He's from Detroit. He is like a pedal steel player in the Detroit area. He used to be in a band called Blanche, which is kind of a big like country band back in Detroit. I don't know. I would say, let's see, how old am I? Probably at least 20 years ago, a little bit more than that too. So, but he also played on Loretta Lynn's record, Bandolier Rose.
Oh, right.
He was like one of Jack White's like guys, on the record. And so he's in Detroit. We had a lot of friends in common. And I just kind of asked him, I said, hey, would you mind playing on my record, And he said, yeah. And I was just like, yeah, like was so glad that he said yes, because he's cool. Like his playing isn't, it's like very unique to me. When I hear his playing, it's like you don't hear anybody playing like that, and that's what I wanted. So I'm just so glad that he's on that record. It's just so cool,
Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds great. Now another track I wanted to touch on was "The Loneliness in Me."
Nashville called saying, where have you been? I said, I've been perfecting my domesticated grin. They said, well, we'd like to offer you a deal. You don't have to pay your dues, but you gotta pay the bill. We'll work on your image, and we'll draw you a crowd, 'cause if no one hears your record,
got some great fiddle playing and some twangy guitar, but it's also got the lyrics are kind of, I think I caught something about we'll work on your image and things like that. So and there's a music video that goes along with it. So have you had that experience where people have tried to mold you into something specific and kind of resisted?
Well, no, not really, because if anyone's ever tried, it went right over my head. Yeah, I just kind of like, I just focus on what I'm doing. But I wrote that just kind of as like a joke, kind of like, you think of like the whole like big industry, the music industry, and it is all about all that superficial stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter really who you are. They can make you a star if they really want to. So that's kind of what that's about. It's just kind of like, playing around with the idea that like, we'll do all this stuff for you. We'll make you this big star. And then I say, I already got my ego. I didn't have to pay for it.
Right. That's one way to put it. And what about the music video? Do you enjoy making those things?
Kind of. It's like, I'm not an actor or an actress, I guess. I always feel like kind of awkward when I'm supposed to do something on camera or something, it's just so weird. I can't get it out of my head, but
right.
It was cool though. It was like when I could kind of relax and just be in the process of it, it was cool because I like to create no matter what it is. So being able to like create this big video, it was fun, like I did. I really enjoyed it. And, besides as long as I didn't think too hard about it.
Well, I can imagine, I can see how that would hard. You kind of have to let yourself out of quit. Yeah, yes. I know exactly what you meant. And I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be too paranoid. And there's also a video for The Great Mistake.
Don't know what kept you from leaving.
Yeah.
Where was that shot? That one?
That was shot probably about 20 minutes down the road from my house in the middle of this like, it's so weird. It's like this place in the middle of the woods, basically, down this end of this dirt road. And it's like this old West town that this guy just built for fun. And he, yeah.
That's what I love about the States. I mean, there's a bunch of wackos there, but there's good wackos too. I mean, yeah, it's like I'm going to build a Western town because.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got the good stuff too. So we went down there. There's nobody there. All these like little buildings. I mean, there's even, maybe I shouldn't say this, but there's like a bar there that has like liquor in it and stuff like that. People have a drink and they put money in the tip jar and then they leave, and it's pretty cool. And, yeah, that was neat. That was one that that video I had to drink a lot because I was totally nervous. Just, so I don't really remember too much about that video. But it was, what I do remember was fun, and it came to completion, so we're good.
Right. Now there's a track called Picture on the Wall, which is very Patsy Cline. I mean, you just can't help but think of old Patsy when you hear that song. And of course, Patsy's music is from, 50, 60 years ago, and it kind of has its own sound and feel. So do you think about, well, I'm sounding too retro, or does that even enter into the conversation when you're making these records?
Like your picture in that frame, your love has faded just the same, but I'm holding on with every breath. Your love has gone, but my heart don't know it yet.
Not really. I don't think about it too much. I mean, maybe I should. I don't know. I just kind of go with it, and then I if there's something that just seems off, I feel like it will let itself be known somehow. Right. So I just kind of build I build from the the bottom up, and then it's as long as it sounds good, I'll keep it. I don't know. Maybe I should be a little bit more thoughtful, I guess, but
Sounds good from here. And there's also a song called the Lovell Stockade Blues, and you're in Lovell.
Yep.
Is there a stockade there?
'Cause if you rub your hands together long enough, you might strike gold. But if you wait around a month or two, well, it'll seem so old. Well, I got that kind of trouble, make a poor boy wanna roam. Same kind of trouble make a young girl stay at home.
Well, you're the first person who's asked me that question. And there actually was a little jail here that they used to say, the Lovell's jail. And it's downtown, and it was it's just like this little, like chain link fence up off the ground a little bit. And then there's a sign that says the Lovell's jail. And I grew up seeing that thing my whole life. And then it's not there anymore. But I mean, yes, there was a jail here. And, I didn't write it about that, but it's just kind of funny that you asked me that, because mostly I wrote that song just about feeling like I was in a jail.
Right.
You're so removed from everything and everyone that it just kind of feels like, well, you might as well be in jail. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. But yeah, that's what it's mostly about. But there was a jail.
So isolation isn't really an issue for you being where you are anyway, is it?
Yeah. It's not really. I'm used to it. I like it. The only problem I've run into is that now that I'm not supposed to go anywhere, I really want to.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah.
And are they fairly strict about it? I mean, are there people watching and keeping an eye on, tracking and all that?
Not really. Well, it was pretty tough in the beginning, and then the summer came, and then it kind of was free. We kind of got a little bit freer. The numbers were way down in Michigan for a really long time,
right?
Especially where I'm at, up in the northern Michigan part. I mean, everybody was careful, but really wasn't that big of a deal during the summer. And now it's starting to hit again. We just got new orders today that we're on another stay-at-home order for 3 weeks at least. And some of the schools are closed and stuff like that. And
you got Thanksgiving next week, right?
Yeah, Thanksgiving's coming up. Mm-hmm. And
so that's going to be tough, because that's traditional. Everybody gets together, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't want to have to cook a turkey. I've never cooked a turkey ever. I always just went to my mom's house. So I don't want to get up early and do that.
It's not that hard, but it's kind of intimidating. You see that big bird sitting there and you're going.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll probably just do something small and stick around and, I don't know, just look at each other.
Think about the bird. Yeah, what's interesting about the turkey, I have a friend who's a Kiwi, but she lives in New York City. And she's going to have to make her own turkey this year, apparently. So she went out and bought a turkey. It was 14 pounds. It was $12 or something. I don't know,
Okay.
So she asked me how much a turkey that size would be in New Zealand. And she looked it up at $150.
What? Whoa. Oh my gosh. Wow.
And the weird thing is we have wild turkeys walking around that you can just run over with your car and, stuff them in the back seat. So maybe what I will do this year. But Kiwis don't really have a good concept of what Thanksgiving is all about and
right.
It's a different kind of thing. But
yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a weird Thanksgiving this year for everybody, I would imagine. So
I think so, but I just keep saying, well, if we can just get through this, maybe Christmas will be better. You know what I mean? And I'd rather have a Christmas than not.
Yeah. So you've been writing more songs.
Oh yes.
And you have another band with your husband called Modern Mal.
Yes.
So
Yep.
how do you determine what you're doing and where it goes? And
Well, it's funny that you say that because sometimes, you know, he kind of writes all the stuff for the Modern Mall stuff. So, but sometimes I'll be like, I want that song.
right.
So I'll say, let's work on that one and make it more for my stuff. And so sometimes that's how it goes. But this time around, we're really focusing on music, you know, songs for me right now. So we're working on, you know, he'll write some, I'll write some, but the Modern Mall stuff is kind of just like a side project kind of thing that, you know, if it's too experiment, because like we both really like lots of different kinds of music, you know. But I've learned that it's probably best to try to separate them a little bit, at least for me. You know, I mean, I like to like experiment with music, but a lot of times I find that if I just kind of stick to kind of like one rough area and then stick to it and then try another one,
Right.
it's just better for me. It's better for me to like create, like I could with Modern Mall, I feel like I could do anything I wanted. I could do country-ish, I could do experimental indie, Beach Boy type stuff, and I can
Right.
get that. When I do country music, sometimes it's kind of hard to mix all that stuff together, so I just try to keep it country, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love country music now. I used to hate it when I was growing. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, and there wasn't anything,
Okay.
you know, it was very rural. And I was like, oh my God, I can't listen to this stuff. But it does seem like the kind of music that there isn't a lot of room for experimental stuff. I mean, there's a template, you know?
There is, yeah. I mean, I like to push the boundaries a little bit. I do. And I probably always kind of will, but I won't go too far because then you kind of lose a lot of people in it, you know, and that's okay. I get it. You know, I love country music. And when I hear country music, I want to hear country music, you know, I want to hear the originals and stuff, you know, like George Jones, Hank Williams, Johnny Cash. That's the stuff I want to hear too. So
Sure.
I get it. But yeah, I think it's like there's a lot of times it's okay to kind of stick within. It's a broad genre. I think there's lots of like avenues that you could go down, but you know, I like to keep it just country.
Yeah. And I guess the CMA is going through some issues. People are kind of annoyed with them because they didn't pay tribute to like John Prine, and Jason
Oh, yeah.
Isbell is like handing back his card or something. I don't know what's going on there, but it seems like they kind of have to realize that there is more than just George Jones and Willie Nelson, maybe, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I know. I don't know I saw all that stuff too. All that stuff. It's like, you know, there is a lot of good stuff out there. It's not always just traditional. There's a lot of good stuff happening that's, you know, stretches it out a little bit, and, you know, they got to pay attention to that stuff too, or they're going to miss the boat. You know,
Yeah.
It's not always going to be about straight up pop country stuff. You know, I mean, if history's taught us anything, it's music changes, you know, and you
Yes,
better
it
get on
does.
board with it. Yeah.
That's a fact. Changes. I mean, that's the thing about this whole lockdown thing. I've been talking to lots of musicians that I'd never even heard of, and listening to music that I would have never been exposed to. And you just realize how much stuff is happening out there, and it's really exciting. And you know, it's been a great year for music as far as I can see. And I think next year is going to be even more intense because everybody's
Oh,
sitting around like you are, writing songs like crazy.
yeah. That's another thing that I thought of too. I was like, well, if I waited with this record until next year, maybe it would have got lost because there's just so many people getting ready to put out their record and stuff like
Yep.
that. So
Yep.
maybe it was a good time. So I'm just going to stick with that idea.
Good on you. All righty. Well, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you
Enjoy
so
your
much.
Thanksgiving. Hope things are cool in Michigan.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much. Yep, we'll be getting through it.
I'm sure you will. All righty.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.